Journaling has changed my life forever. I can't objectively say to what extent, but I can definitely say that it was for the better. I started journaling in 2019. So, in post-Soviet countries, there is a holiday when women give presents to men, and it has something related to the World War II. So that day I received a journal as a present from one of my female classmates. Before getting that journal, I already have heard a lot of things about journaling as a way to improve your English. Couple of months forward, something happens and I just start journaling. My handwriting was awful, my English was awful, everything was bad, but I still just kept doing it. Took almost a year to fill it out, but it was an interesting experience. After filling it out, I buy a new journal. It was as thick as a book. I remember from that journal, the first 2 pages, I filled it out in a day, just with a regular handwriting. The most common one, which you could see, like in books, for example, just a printed letter. Something just clicks in my mind that I need to change my handwriting. Immediately I go on Google and find cursive spelling of English letters. I download the image of them. Every time I sit down to write, I open that image on my laptop and I just write. And if I don't know how to spell that letter, I just look it up and keep writing. I didn't try to write out every single letter separately. I just started writing and incorporating those spellings immediately. In literally a week, completely changed my handwriting from awful printed one to a pretty good cursive one. One of the tricks that I used was that you use a mechanical pencil. Mechanical pencil has a very thin lead, which means that you will immediately see the mistakes you make when you write with a mechanical pencil in the curves of the letters. Even to this day, if I notice that my handwriting is getting worse, I pick up a mechanical pencil for a couple of days and just write with it. It's an interesting method because literally after a moment that you wrote out a word, you can see the feedback, whether it was good or bad. So you automatically try to make it better the next time. It's a feedback loop. You write a word, and because it was written very thin mechanical pencil, you can immediately see the mistakes. And you just try to control it better. That's what I learned to do, controlling your pen. Sometimes I actually do get compliments for my handwriting, but it's pretty much unreadable. The spelling in and of itself was never taught to people. That's the first thing. And the second thing is that, yes, my spelling is not readable as much. I myself sometimes cannot actually read it, especially when I write fast. Probably the most important benefit that I got from journaling: objectivity. When you have a problem in life, some people turn to other people to try to explain their problem to them and try to see it objectively. There is a drawback to that. When I tell someone a situation is like this, I feel like I am confirming something is a certain way. I feel as if my beliefs are confirmed and the problem is a certain way, which you really don't want because it's a subjective point of view. There's a quote from Miyamoto Musashi that perceiving eye is weak, observing eye is strong. The idea is that when you tell someone that your situation is a certain way, it is subjective. It's your perception, and it's not always the right thing. And when I journal, I try to explain the situation. It's really hard to make it subjective because to try to explain the event itself, you have to describe it. You have to state the facts, which is objective. When you have everything laid out in front of you, the facts, you can see objectively what you can and cannot do. And you can see what exactly you should feel about it. I'll give you an example. After 3 days of uploading the first video, I was in a panic mode because I didn't know what to make videos about. I have a habit, whenever I feel a certain way and I want to confirm something, I turn to my journal and I try to state it. So I did exactly that. I wrote that I feel like an idiot because I don't know what to write about. I'm just going to read what I wrote. I honestly say I feel like giving up right now. My God, is it a shitty feeling? Well, I gave my word to everyone. And I do want to get into the top 1%. And I want to be an entrepreneur, not a 9 to 5. Not even a coder. Okay, so let's clarify that. Let's set a goal. So the problem was that I felt like giving up. I could have given into that feeling, but immediately after writing it, I say, okay, let's clarify. It would be an objectively an unreasonable thing to just give up after uploading the first video. So I objectively make a statement to set a goal. I write 50 videos. After that, I say, good, I'm going to make 50 videos before I can even consider giving up. After that, you clarify it further. What about the deadline? I wrote 60 days. That's a good number, good enough to make a lot of progress. Not enough to make you feel discouraged and give up. Then you clarify it even more. What is the bar of a made video? When a video is in public on YouTube, it is considered plus one video. So that was the idea. You have a problem, you have a certain way that you feel about it, you clarify it, you objectively look at it. There were a lot of moments like this in my life when you need to look at a problem objectively. And there's literally no way to explain to someone else without subjectifying it. And journaling is something that makes you zoom out on the problem and see it as it is. I don't know why, but I always perceive journaling as documenting my life. Almost every time I sit down to write, there's a thought in my mind. I want someone to understand how I lived my life. I want someone to see what exactly and how exactly unfolded in my life. It's just for some reason, I feel like not just for future generations, but for myself actually, that I want to pick up my journal in the future and see how I lived my life. Now that I think about it, it's accountability in a way, because you expect your future self to read it and you don't want to let him down. There's a channel on YouTube called Jay Waller. On one of his latest videos, he said that he would record videos to himself on a wheelchair, to himself when he is old. He would record videos asking himself how he is in the future and telling himself how much work he's putting in. Recording videos for your future self, telling how much work you're putting in right now. Journaling has been something like that for me. I am so grateful that I picked up this habit and that I have been keeping it up ever since that day. I am grateful that my classmate gave it as a present that day. I am grateful that I started. I am incredibly grateful that I have the opportunity to even talk about it. That's just something that has been in my life that I can't even objectively say to what extent it made my life, just like working out or English. It is one of those things that compound over time into something incredibly big. It's the same way as maybe writing a word on a paper will save you from suicide 40 years down the line.